Yeah, I'm going to tie in a little bit to both what Becca and John mentioned, because I think there's some overlaps. The first, which I thought was both positive and interesting, is just how much the companies that participated are thinking more broadly about the employee experience. So going beyond strategically how they think about retaining or engaging talent, but really thinking about the lived experience of employees. So really getting into the understanding more deeply how do things like their leaders and supervisors impact their experience, the impact of colleagues on their experience, the impact of the technology or equipment that they use on their experience as employees, thinking more broadly about company policies, whether that's remote, flex, work from home, or other policies, the impact of the workplace itself and the space that they work in. And then finally looking at, what we traditionally think of in HR as HR practices that impact the employee experience, whether that's pay, promotions, benefits, growth opportunities, like Becca mentioned. So, opening up the aperture outside of what we control in HR to think about more broadly what maybe real estate controls or IT controls or the impact of leaders. So really thinking more broadly about this idea of the employee experience. Really then to do that well and to get beyond the strategy of what we want to do, but actually getting at the lived experience is really opening up and thinking about how to more frequently do sensing of the employee experience, because it changes with some frequency as employees expect new things, as we get different populations of employees coming in, as we get new labor market competitors. So more frequently doing sensing of how employees are experiencing the actual workplace. And so, mentioned lots of different ways to do this in our working group, whether that's certainly moving beyond the annual survey, which is too slow, to doing more pulse surveys. And so companies had some interesting practices, whether that's a single question as you log in for the day or punch in for the day. Are these planned weekly pulses to different parts of the population? Companies were doing things talking about sentiment analysis, whether that's on internal chat or social media features, doing sentiment analysis on external social media platforms that employees use to talk about their jobs and work, doing internal jam sessions or discussion boards to get people bubbling up what's on their mind. And even old school, right? Going back to the old management by walk around. So really asking frontline HR business partners to do more time out actually talking with employees and getting a sense of how they're feeling, and really trying to bubble that all together to find out where there's challenges, where there's issues, where there's blocks in the employee experience that are really turning people off, and thinking then about how to engage with them differently around what parts of the employee experience aren't working and how to fix it. And then I think the last one is really this. It's funny to me, having been around the employer brand space for 20 years, how much this is an up and down cycle, depending on whether we're hiring or it's a down economy. But what I've heard more frequently this time than I've heard in quite a while is just the importance of the employee value proposition and the employer brand internally as well as externally. So it's not just how do we attract talent, but it's really around reminding employees what they're getting out of the workplace and really expanding that employee value proposition to think about all those different aspects of the employee experience that are positive, that differentiate the company, as a way to think about retaining employees as much as attracting them. So really those are the three big takeaways to me, is how much more broadly people are thinking about the employee experience, how to sense what people are feeling more frequently and maybe with greater accuracy, and then really thinking about the dual purpose of the EVP and the employer brand.